Hello, this is Jed Brewer with Study Groups. It's really nice to have you on our call today. I'm here with two industry experts, Rohit Srivastav, who's the head of marketing at FleetPanda, and also Harini, and I'll butcher this, but Ragavendran from FleetPanda as well. And really appreciative of Harini and Rohit being on the call today, because we're going to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence. So why, when, and how to use artificial intelligence in fuel market operations. So AI is a buzzword. We hear a lot about it. It seems like it has a lot of potential use for our companies, but it's sort of unclear, at least it has been to me, about, well, how do I actually use it in my business, my petroleum marketing business today to actually affect change? So that's a little bit what Rohit and Harini are going to be sharing about. A couple things they're going to talk about on the call today. Some real AI use cases that we can put together, like optimizing delivery routes and forecasting demand. They'll also talk more big picture about when it makes sense to start using AI and how to know if your business is ready to make that jump and implement it, and this step-by-step process you need to take to ultimately get there and be ready for it. So again, really grateful that Rohit and Harini are on the call. A little bit about FleetPanda briefly. They're a fuel dispatch software company built specifically for fuel marketers. They started out in fleet fueling in the state of California, distributing fuel to large fleets such as Amazon trucks or Facebook buses, et cetera, kind of in that California area. And they faced challenges with dispatch and operations. So they said, well, shoot, let's build our own software to solve some of these challenges that we have. So soon they ended up selling off their trucks and collaborated with some of the fuel distributors to refine the software that they had for themselves and ultimately make it useful to firms like you on the call here today. So that's a little bit about FleetPanda. And on this webinar, we'll be done within the hour, but we want this to be as educational as possible for you. So if you have any questions, and go to webinar, there's a little dialog box and you can type that question into. I'll be able to read it and then I'll relay it to Rohit and Harini at the appropriate time so we can make this as conversational as possible. So with that introduction, I'm going to turn the floor over to you guys to share with us a little about artificial intelligence and how we can use it to ultimately get started and improve our operations.
Thank you so much, Jed. That was an amazing introduction. I couldn't have been kinder to me even if I tried. So thanks so much. Hi everyone. Thank you so much for spending the time, choosing to spend the time with us. Why you should listen to us? Obviously because FleetPanda is, I think, at the edge of tech, specifically in the fuel marketing industry and the ecosystem. But specifically me and Harini, we have been associated with tech products combined for over 15 years. And we have seen multiple launches and have always been at the most competitive tech products at taking care of marketing for them. And for the past couple of years, we have been here at FleetPanda, just getting deeper into the ecosystem, learning from all of you guys. And this is our way of bringing our world knowledge of AI to petroleum marketers specifically. As you can see, I'm Rohit, and with me, I have my associate Harini. And with that, let's dive deep into the agenda of today. So we have kept a very simple agenda. There are only three pieces that we'll be talking about broadly. One is the use cases, which is like the things that our customers are using AI for as of today, not some vague promise, but things that customers are using today, and things that we can with confidence say that fuel marketers can just flick a switch and start using as they please. The second thing is your business ready for AI? Because AI is a buzzword, everybody wants to jump on that bandwagon, but are you even ready for it, or is it even ready for you? So we'll try to answer that question. And the third is, if everything is hunky-dory and you believe that AI can really bring some value into your business, then how should you go about it? How to choose a vendor, what internal housekeeping you need to do to get there, and so on. So these are the three broad agenda points. With that, let's directly get into the meat of it. The two practical use cases that we currently see our customers really focusing around is one is demand forecasting and the second is route optimization. Now, demand forecasting, this is the most immediate use case that we see. AI can analyze your historical data, weather trends, and customer behavior. So it's basically a mix of internal historical data and current geographical and external data. So historical data of ordering by the week, by the month, by the year, and then layering it with the weather forecast. We all know how cyclone warnings and how storm warnings are one of the critical factors in our industry. So all of that, and as well as like RD and daily data on top of it, and then obviously the customer behavior, purchase behavior from the past, to predict the fuel demand with as high accuracy as it can. And then the second part is the route optimization. Route optimization, in a brief, AI uses real-time data to optimize routes, factoring in traffic, delivery locations, and vehicle capacity to make sure you're using the most efficient path. This is mostly right now without AI or without technology is done by the experience um, and the owned knowledge of the dispatchers. What we suggest or what we see right now is AI taking that on and just doing a more incrementally better job than most humans can. And this obviously would lead to shorter delivery times, lower fuel costs, and better customer service. These are the most practical, doable, and useful use cases today. We obviously believe in the power of AI and technology, so we absolutely know that there will be a lot more use cases that will come in. But these are the two that we think will add sure value to your business right away. With that pretext, let's dive into each of these use cases just to understand them in more detail, and see how that can be more fruitful to your business. The first one is demand forecasting, right? So let's understand the challenges with the current traditional, not really current, but traditional demand forecasting. We have all seen that, and this comes from most of what I'm trying to say is not obviously you understand your business much better than I can ever imagine to, but this is coming from an understanding of our current customers, people who share their challenges with us, and this is more notes taken from them. So what we understand are the challenges with traditional demand forecasting is one, the inaccuracy due to human bias. Second, limited data processing, and third is lagging predictions, right? So inaccuracy due to human biases, decisions are often influenced by the gut feelings or outdated methods or human errors. So basically, how demand forecasted today is by the traditional knowledge of understanding. Okay, this month, this week, this season, this is how the demand has been over the years, over the decades. So this is how I'm going to go about it. Second is limited data processing. Is manual analysis is dependable, but to a limit, and also it can only be done to the extent of the processing power of our brains, right? We cannot match how an AI or a well-written program or a well-written algorithm can do it, can handle manual vast amount of data. So the limited data processing is sort of constrained in the manual processes. And the third is the lagging predictions, inability to react quickly to market changes or external factors such as economic shifts and competitor activity will always be out of your control, because that signal, humans can only react to when something like that has happened, rather than predicting based on small indicators and small signals coming from all composite analysis of all the factors like that. So if we agree to this, the next question becomes is, how can AI help in this, right? So AI
Real
can
quick,
basically, yeah.
question for you on the demand forecasting. So are we forecasting just demand for our company as a whole on this given day, or are we able to go down more granular to like this customer is going to buy X amount on this day? What kind of granularity are we getting into here?
So yes, so it can be either ways. The cumulative demand forecasting is actually built on the tenets of individual demand forecasting. So the final number that you get is actually a sum of all the individual level demand forecasting that the AI can do. So it's actually without the individual level demand forecasting, this the whole or some of the demand forecasting at a company level is not achievable. So it's sort of a sub part or a subsection of the overall demand forecasting, that a customer level demand forecasting will happen.
That makes sense. Yeah, thank you.
So the next part is how AI can help. So AI can help in reducing the stockouts and overstocks. What it actually means, and it's almost self-explanatory, because accurate demand forecasting ensures that popular items are always in stock, preventing missed sales opportunities. So obviously, when you can predict demand, when you can forecast demand, you'll stock up better. So you'll prevent the missed sales opportunities. And AI-driven precision also reduces the need to overstock. So cash flow is the name of the game. So you obviously don't overstock, and you have lower holding costs, minimized markdowns, and less waste, which increases profit margins. In our side of business, wastage is not as much important as much as cash flow is, because we operate in a low margin environment. So that becomes a more important point of focus. The second is the operational efficiency. With faster decision making, companies can quickly adjust to market changes. So it becomes the overall operational efficiency gets impacted because of that. And the third is because of the effect of these two things, and overall the intelligence that you get from demand forecasting, you get an increased revenue, and that is again self-explanatory. Now, these are the intangible or overall benefits, right? What do we really see in terms of metrics, parts of your balance sheet, if I may say? What are those metrics that change in there? I'm sorry. Uh, yeah. So this was about the demand forecasting, right? Now, what we have seen, obviously, at demand forecasting level, it can vary from one company to the other in terms of number of clients that they have, and the number of and the amount of data that they historically can provide to the AI, because the AI's output will always depend upon the historical data that you can provide to them. So, but what we are seeing more in action is the routing part, where we see uh, how routing has helped, how routing via AI has helped in core benefits and intangible ROI on the customer part. We have seen, because of routing by AI, we have seen increase in gallons delivered, reduction in miles. So increase in gallons delivered is pretty straightforward benefit, because you have optimized routes, and hence more deliveries in less time with the same number of resources, and reduction in miles, because you're traveling less to your trucks are running on optimized routes, so you're traveling less to deliver the same gallons. And the third is reduction in salary and overtime. Why this is very important is because we always are looking for more drivers. We always are looking for more for driver recruitment with the same number of trucks. Buying a new truck, increasing assets has always been a constraint in our industry. So with this tangible operational efficiency coming in, you always save on the reduction in salary. You always save on salary and overtime. That directly impacts your bottom line. The third is obviously reduction in time spent on planning, because the AI is doing the route planning for you. So your dispatcher has much more time just focusing on the driver dispatcher communication, or serving the customers well. And one of the things that we are actually seeing, which was a surprise to us as well as a great win for our customer, was reduction in zero runs, right? So there are at times where your trucks would go to deliver, or your tank wagons will go to deliver, and then there will be a zero run situation. With route optimization with AI, that is already factored in. So it is minimized to at as much lowest levels as possible. We also want to take you through a case study that we have seen with our customers. Um, and these are the tangible numbers. Obviously, we cannot show which customer this is, but this is a real life case study, real life impact and metrics. So if you have to just bear with me, I can explain what is being shown here. If you see the deliveries is obviously the same number of deliveries, because we did not impact the number of orders that we created. But if you see the hours taken to do the same deliveries, it's almost half of the existing hours that you saw with the traditional customer generated routes and AI FleetPanda generated routes. So half of the time taken. Then if you see the miles, it's almost one third of the miles taken before, and with the FleetPanda generated route, it's 1/3 less, basically. Then gallons per miles, as I explained before, will always go up. So there's like 39% increase in that. Gallons per delivery, it was constant because of design of the order management philosophy of the customer. But if you see gallons per hour, that is where it becomes to get crazier. You see almost double gallons per hour delivered. You see double delivery per hour happening, and you see a massive increase in delivery per route increasing. This will only get interesting if you see at the right side of the current slide. There is a snapshot of the tangible benefits that you get. You save your hours by almost half. You reduce mile by 29%. You increase gallon per miles by 39%, and delivered more gallons. So you almost double your gallons, and then you complete more deliveries in the single route. Let me show you something that will add more color to this.
Rohit,
Yeah,
I'm just curious. Go back to, yeah, there we go, the chart. So
yeah,
hours reducing that much and miles almost 30% savings for the same number of gallons. Like, what were they doing before, and then what were they doing different? Like, actually, from an operational standpoint, I mean, were they using pen and
absolutely.
paper to figure out the routing? It just seems to be a substantial decrease in the number of miles. So I was trying to understand what the AI informed them to do differently.
Yeah. So not really. If I would say that it's not a pen and paper versus a software comparison. It's actually software and then software with AI route optimization built in comparison. So initially, they created that route on the software using their traditional knowledge of and understanding of the geography. With AI, the weather data is factored in, the maps, the traffic data is factored in, all of that is factored in real time and based on the scheduling of that delivery. So it sort of takes up a notch with the optimization piece, and that's why you see such a drastic change in metrics. So I cannot show you the map because of some confidential reasons. But there is like an entire different. So there are two different colors of maps. Just when we were doing this study for the study group, we were just going back and researching on how this has impacted. There are distinctly two maps for the same route. One AI generated and one is customer generated. And there you can see why there's such a big difference. And it's available in our dashboard, but I'm sorry, it's just too confidential and we cannot risk that data.
Makes sense. But was it purely the roads that they were taking, or was it like, oh, I don't need to go every day to this customer. Maybe if I combine going to this customer on this day
Exactly.
once a week, something, I can
Exactly.
still keep them
That
full.
ties
But
back. Sorry, please complete. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting.
no, I'm kind of done. Yeah. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, so that's exactly what is happening. That's why the in the earlier slide, the entire point about zero deliveries, right? That is already factored in. So that only happens when that user behavior of the client comes into picture because they understand the tandem of delivery, they understand the frequency needed. That basically gets down the zero deliveries at the same time, increases the efficiency of the route that they take.
That makes sense. And then if you're got that much spare capacity, you can either do more or you can perhaps get rid of some assets that you have if you don't have
Yeah.
other things you could fill. Got it.
I mean, if I had to sell this on a newspaper or a tabloid, I would say do more with the same number of drivers. You don't need to hire more drivers rather than hire an AI.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my headline. So going to the next piece of it, I would assume, and if I can see a yes in the chat that you believe and you are excited by what AI can do for you. We would take you to the next part of the session is so part A, the first pillar is complete where we were showing how AI is changing the business today. Now we are gonna get into the part where we discuss with you and Harini will take you over in understanding, is your business ready for AI? And what does it take in terms of housekeeping at your end to make sure that whenever you are ready for AI or if you choose to go with AI, you are utilizing the max benefit of the investment that you make on it. Harini?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rohit. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
sound good.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Cool. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. We promise to keep it concise. We promise to keep it packed with information and as quick as possible. So the next big question that is, that is on everybody's minds, right, is your specific business ready for AI? So we have seen with all of the stuff that, Rohit has said, that AI is ready for fuel marketing. AI is here, it's here today. But is your business, with the goals that you have in the stage that you are in the challenges that you are facing, right? So does it make sense for you to, start thinking about AI, let alone, start implementing it? So to answer that question briefly, it basically depends on the digital maturity of your organization. If you feel operational efficiency challenges and like the pinch of rising costs, and you saw the use cases that Rohit spoke about, and you think, you know what, this makes sense, I want to start implementing this for my company today. The next step is kind of getting the digital maturity of your organization to a level where you are ready for AI. So what does that exactly mean, right? We'll go to the next slide, and you can see here the pandas hierarchy of needs, right? So is it appearing fully for me? Only the first group, yeah. Perfect, got it. So this probably reminds you of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? That's where we kind of took inspiration from. And if you can see, AI is, hiring AI or implementing AI is right at the top, right? So that means that only when everything at the bottom is done, only when you are finished with all of this, does it make sense to actually go to that final step of hiring AI to do it. So what does that mean, right? So if you look at the first thing, it is skilling paper and spreadsheets. Like if you are, in pen and paper mode and spreadsheets with data kind of all over the place and, buried in paperwork, then you are not ready yet for AI. Like that works. People have been doing that for generations, and it works to a certain extent for sure. But at the end of the day, AI is basically taking the data that you give it and then learning from it and then giving you suggestions on how to do a certain, use case better, right? So for that, you first need to get out of the pen and paper mode and go digital. Once you are in, a digital platform, like you have like accounting, software for your back office, you have like a dispatch software for your dispatch team, and then a delivery maybe software for your drivers. Once you have all of that, the next step is actually to unify your business lines. So most fuel marketers, you're going to have your loops business line, your propane, your tank wagon, your transport, all of that, right? And usually what we see is, one business line is on this one software, another is on another software, another is just in pen and paper. Like if that means that AI is not getting the complete picture, right? You need to have all of it in this one unified place, one unified platform, and bring it all into this well-oiled machine. And you can take it to the next step by actually integrating your tech stack. What does that mean? If you're going to have like your say, your dispatch software, and that's doing its own thing, and then there's your accounting software, and then that's doing its own thing, and there's no connection, right? Or there's a pretty bad connection, then that doesn't work either. So how do you kind of integrate all of it? So how, your LCR meters and your tank monitors, they should be connected to your dispatch software, then that should be connected to your accounting software. So getting all of it into one really well-oiled machine, and it's running, right? So that is the next step. The step after that is, once you have this well-oiled machine running, you will be able to actually see places where you're like, you know what, this part I think we can automate it, this part I think we can give it to, our accounting software or a dispatch software. So you start seeing opportunities for automation, right? And once that is done, you're finally at a level where you are getting data by the minute. You are getting data about, your driver's productivity, like you are getting visibility on, your orders, everything. You have constant stream of data coming in, and finally the management team is able to make decisions based on data rather than their instinct or their gut, right? So only when you have that constant stream of proper structured data coming in can you actually, you know force fit AI into this equation. Because like I said, like with AI, garbage in, garbage out. So when you have proper data coming in that and it's able to learn from it, then you get the right suggestions, the right output out of it. So if you go to the next slide.
Harini, quick. Yeah. I understand that garbage in, garbage out is super important.
Yeah.
And I also understand got a bunch of different systems floating around out there.
Yeah.
And I need some central repository for all this information to flow into so I can run the AI over it.
Yeah.
What are examples of that central system? Is that like FleetPanda is an example of that central system, or is there a third-party central system I need? How do I create that central system that then I can run the AI out of?
Got it. The central system is, what I mean by that is just a connected system, right? Like all of your systems connected to each other so that you can add the AI layer on the dispatch software, you can add the AI layer on the back office part. Like that is possible, right? But that works only when all of it is actually integrated into one system, and then you can add AI wherever, whichever use case you see fit. So if it's going to be routing, it's going to go into your dispatch software. If it's going to be something related to your invoicing and your billing, right? So then the AI layer is going to be on your accounting software.
Let me just add a layer on top of it, Harini, to Jed's question. That's a great question, Jed, by the way. What does the ideal state look like, right? The default, and we cover this in the session later on. The default is always to think about it as a one system that has different modules working in different functions, and that's the dream. Like if that was possible, we would advocate highly for that. But honestly, we have seen it working the other way around. So what we actually advocate really highly is getting the best of breed systems for all of these and connect it really well, because what you really need to get at the end of it, and you can see that view in your dispatch software, in your accounting software, in your ERP, wherever you want to see that. But what you really need is a single view of your customer. All of that data flowing in, the order data, the invoice data, the dispatch data, uh, uh, the number of missed deliveries for that matter, and the order history to predict. And then you layer all of that single view data. Uh, Consider this as a central data platform. It can be a part of any of the software that you use. FleetPanda obviously gives you that. We don't want to advocate and over promote our software, and that's why I'm saying that that's not the catch-all answer to this. But it can be any best of the breed software that you want to use. It's not that if you only use FleetPanda, then you can use AI. Obviously, we are working on it, and our AI is actually pretty good. But the system that you're looking at is something that gives you a central data platform kind of a view, one view of your customer, so that it has all the data at one place. And then if you layer AI on top of it, that is where you actually get a radically different advantage rather than that incremental advantage of adding another feature. That is the ideal state of this.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you for that clarification. I see somebody's raising their hand. I've got everybody on mute, but if we want this to get your questions answered, so from the audience, go ahead and type in that question and go to webinar, and I can read and I can ask it on your behalf to Rohit and Harini. So, Harini, go ahead. Thanks for that answer.
Perfect. Yeah. So we spoke about, you need to get your data ready, you need to get your data in shape. What does that actually look like, right? So after kind of digitizing your workflow, you need to ensure that your data is clean. And by that, we mean there are no, duplicates. There are no, the same data being in different formats all over the place. So so standardizing the data that you have, and then ensuring, as much as possible, you're able to collect that data real time instead of, at a lag of a few days or a few hours, right? So And once all that's done, you actually, like, this is the main part, right? Like partnering with a strong tech provider or a tech partner to get this started. And why I'm saying this is very important is AI is not this off the shelf feature that you just take from somewhere and you just add it, and today, like, it's switched on and today you just start using it, right? So especially for a use case, an industry as complicated, with so many running parts, moving parts as fuel marketing, you need to first take the data, get all of um, um, your data, your systems, everything in place, and then you need to kind of train that AI. You need to start, testing it gradually, maybe with just one dispatcher, right, with one driver and one back office person, and then you slowly start to, scale up gradually, right? So you need to find a partner who understands your goals, like, this is what I'm trying to increase, right? Like this particular efficiency, this is what I'm trying to increase or like decrease, right? And then get the data in place and train the LLM, like the AI program, so that you can get your desired outputs. So this is what it looks like, right? And if you actually go one slide earlier, um, like earlier, yeah. So in this pyramid, if you take a look, right, until this data-driven decisions, you can see that this whole thing, except just the top, which is higher AI, this whole thing is actually, if you had to put it in one bucket, it is digital transformation, right? Completely transforming your business processes from a manual pen and paper mode to going fully digital, after which you then hire AI, right? That's basically what this is. So yes, you can go on to the slide after next. Yes. With FleetPanda, we have helped fuel marketers across the country with this digital transformation process, and fuel marketers of different sizes, with different business lines, with different goals, and we wanted to kind of understand why exactly, like what are the common themes, what are the common patterns as to why fuel marketers actually invest in this digital transformation. So the reason I'm bringing this topic in here is the step to hiring AI is getting the digital transformation in place first. So now the second order question is, okay, should I, as a fuel marketer, invest in digital transformation? Does it make sense for me now? And how do I go about that, right? So we wanted to kind of answer that also in depth. So these are the reasons that we see fuel marketers come to us for, you know, transforming their business. So one is they're spending way too much time firefighting. Second is they want to scale up and they see that the way things are, the way the process is now, it is not going to help them get to where they want to be. Third, high competition, we're all feeling it, no need to explain. Fourth is rising costs, and then the final one is getting the business intelligence and the data that the management team needs to actually start making better decisions for the growth of the company, right? So if let's go slightly deeper into each of these, and if you are feeling any of these, right? Like if any of these items is relatable to you, then that is a sign that, listen, okay, maybe it makes sense for you to start thinking about digital transformation as well, if you are not already, right? So the first thing is spending too much time firefighting the same issues every day, right? So we have spoken with fuel marketers who are doing their dispatch through, Outlook calendars, or through a WhatsApp group, or just pen and paper, or basically when we asked a fuel marketer, like, how does communication work right now, they said, we just scream everything across the room to the person who needs to hear it, right? These are different ways in which fuel marketers are kind of going through their processes every day, and there's nothing wrong with it, right? Like, it works. There's a reason these fuel marketers have been here, and they've done this for generations, they've done this for hundreds of years. So like, that all aside, if you are feeling that, but the way you're doing things, it's getting too much, right? You're just spending too much calories doing the same things. So one main story that we heard was, you know, they were doing things manually, they're doing things the pen and paper way, and obviously with the pen and paper method comes human error. That's just not something you can avoid, right? And with human error, what happens is the bills start going out late, the bills start going with errors, and then the customers start taking a look at that, and I'm like, okay, that's not the right, that doesn't look right, right? So you kind of lose that trust of your customer. They start paying slightly later because they're like, okay, if I'm getting a bill from this vendor, I'm gonna have to check it before I actually pay this. So your kind of invoice goes in the bottom of the pile, right? So that means you are getting paid later, and that means your cash flow is getting strained. So this entire vicious cycle keeps going on and on, right? And there's a lot of overtime. By we've heard dispatchers coming in early morning at 5 a.m. to just start their day and get everything in order for drivers and still work overtime, right? So if this is something that you are feeling, then this is a sign that, okay, maybe it's time to, hire technology to kind of uh, take care. So the next thing is, I think we are running out of time, so I'll just go through this fast. So the next thing is current processes inhibiting growth. So this is, okay, the video isn't, I think, available, but basically it's here, the quote is here and on the right, where, oh, it's there. Okay, cool. Doesn't matter, it's fine. The crux is, he's Carl Kleinman. He is the owner of Moffitt Services based in Texas. And what he was saying is, what the processes, the workflows that work for us at 50 deliveries a day just did not scale up when we scaled up to 100 and 150 deliveries a day. And just delays of 1 or 2 days led to cash flow of millions being held by our customers, right? So, and that's just something that you cannot afford as you grow. So if you are looking to expand into new territories, business lines, and you want to do it in, scalably, in a way that is sustainable, then it is time to start bringing tech into the equation. The next thing is competition, I think. The next slide. Yeah. So at the end of the day, everybody is providing the same kind of service. Everybody's providing almost the same product. So the question really becomes, how can I make it easy for my employees to provide the best customer service? What can I do to kind of stand out from the pack? This is a recurring theme that we saw in our customers that is, running in their heads. So that is another sign. The fourth one is rising costs. I think instead of me explaining, the quote is just perfect, and this is by Carl as well, where he says that, trucks are so much more expensive than they've ever been in all the years that he's been in the business. Driver wages have gone up, rightfully, and so getting those efficiency gains, just a little bit of time per day, per shift, per unit of product, per employee is just so much more meaningful now than ever. So if you are feeling the pinch of rising costs, then does it make sense? Yes. So the next slide is, and this is the final kind of pattern that we saw, is getting that business intelligence, right? So for years, managers have been making decisions based on what they're, seeing and what they're hearing in the field. But now you have cold hard data that cannot, there's no bias there. It's cold hard data. So getting that information once you're out of pen and paper, it really gives you the visibility on, every order, every customer, every, driver, and they're then able to make better decisions to grow the company forward, right? So these are the main reasons. And if you are feeling any of these, then if you're relating with any of these, then it's time, right? It makes sense for you to invest. But how do you actually go on this journey of digital transformation? Can you go to the next slide? Yeah, I'll give it over to Rohit.
So, thanks so much, Harini, for that detailed understanding and explanation of the hierarchy of needs. That has always stood out as funny as well as entertaining and informational at the same time. So yeah, the three questions that we come across a lot of questions whenever people are we actually pride ourselves in this that not just because of dispatch software, somebody ever wants to have like a back office software, they call up Pawan or one of our salespeople just to understand what's the lay of the land is. So our understanding of a tech vendor is not just limited to a great dispatch solution, but it's always also about how do you build that entire stack out. So this is more generic understanding of how people think about when they are building their tech stack. Obviously, if you have a question that falls out of the purview of these three, feel free to ask that in the chat, and we'll try to cover that for sure. But the three core themes of doubts that people have while they're going for a software, and that might be any software for that matter, that might be a dispatch, back office, accounting, anything, is do you outsource to a vendor or do you build it in-house? Uh, Especially the bigger customers, like something like a Moffat would have this doubt is it just better to hire some engineers so that because I truly believe I have worked across industries, but I truly believe the petroleum marketing industry and the petroleum marketers have very complex and unique workflows. So most of the times, the reason why they want to build it in-house is not because they want to save some pennies over the dollar. It's mostly because they have been either burnt by false promises by the vendors that have been here before, or they truly believe by after exploring multiple solutions that there isn't a solution that can actually adapt to my workflow, my way of working, and hence it's just better that we get some engineers in house and get it done. Uh, but for the people who have actually gone on that path, I can bet on that after a while you get to understand the complexity of it. So obviously, the cost of building the software is one, but the annual cost of maintaining that software is another. The server cost that comes with it, the infrastructure cost that comes with it, and once that is done, you order one fine morning, you're having your coffee and you realize now you have two businesses. One is the petroleum marketing one, and the other is a software business that you're running inside your petroleum marketing business. So that's always there, and hence we absolutely obviously will always be biased because we are a vendor. So you should outsource to a vendor. We will always say, but we have seen enough horror stories there. The second is, do you go for an all-in-one solution and the best of breed solution? Uh, Honestly, we don't want to name anyone, but there are a lot of all-in-one solutions out there, and we all know the names. We all know them personally. Uh, and honestly, if there was an all-in-one solution that could solve and integrate all the data across all the functional areas, we would highly suggest you to do that. Go for that. But the problem is there isn't one. Whoever claims to be an all-in-one solution has either tied together a few broken pieces, a few acquired pieces, a few outdated pieces together and just positioned and packaged it as an all-in-one. Rather, what you should go do is hire like an iRely at one end, FleetPanda in the middle, and then some other accounting and accounting software, and create a best of the breed package that solves each of your functions really well. And as Harini pointed out earlier, they should be tied together so closely and seamlessly that the data flows from one end to another. And it's the vendor responsibility, honestly, to get that done. You should sit on their heads and get it done because you're paying for it. So getting that data flowing from one end to another, that should be your highest priority. But from a functional workflow level, you should absolutely go for a best of breed solution. There was a video of Carl explaining his horror story with the earlier uh, all-in-one solution kind of approach and why he went for a best of breed later. But that's our recommendation, of course. The third one is an on-prem, which is an on-premise versus a cloud. Will obviously be biased there for a cloud, but honestly, on-premise has a lot of advantages and has had a lot of advantages over the years. But I think with cloud becoming more reliable and more accessible, specifically with the kind of business that we are in, I think we need a software that is accessible from all corners of the world. at least all corners of United States for that matter. So we cannot rely on an on-premise software. We have to go for a cloud software. That is just the need of the hour now. So I would highly suggest these are the 3 parameters that you should go for. Uh, then I would go for Harini. Can you explain this one?
Yeah. Okay. So what exactly, so if you have decided, listen, we're going to go with a vendor, how do you actually evaluate your tech options, whether it's the ERP, whether it's a CRM, whether it is, the accounting software or dispatch software, any of these, right? So what are some things that you need to look out for so that you make the right decision for the next 10 years, right? You're not buying something just to solve, just write an email or just to solve a problem for a few months. You're going to be investing millions over a long period of time. So what do you need to look out for to kind of buy the right option for you? So these are the 4 things that you need to look out, and we'll go into it pretty fast. So the first thing is look at not just the cost that's quoted, but the true cost of ownership, right? Like look at the initial setup and implementation cost, whether there is extra cost for support. Does the cost increase per year? What is if they have to, upgrade to a new system, or if they have to maintain the system? Are they asking for, extra dollars for that? Just look at the entire cost of ownership rather than just the number that is there in the contract, right? And the next thing is the ability to integrate.
Yeah, I think most people would say, yeah, I want to look at the true cost of ownership, but so much of that is uncertain. How much maintenance am I going to need, and when are they going to need me to upgrade? And I know the hourly rate for support, but how much am I going to need? It's hard to quantify all that. But certainly in concept, I think most people would be like, yeah, that's what I need to do.
So that's where transparent contracts are really helpful. When we say, so for example, if you go on our website, we have like a dedicated page on implementations and support, and we actually lay out this that wherever you are, and if you want to reach our support, you will no matter how we actually reply in 2 minutes, but we put it on the website for 10 minutes because that's more reliable. So that's there. So we basically operate by transparency as design, and that is why we advocate that. And you should absolutely be very sure about getting that in the contract. I understand, Jed, where you're coming from. We all hear those stories coming from our customers at all times. Obviously, we might have also made our fair share of mistakes. We are not saying that we are perfect, but as a customer, I mean that's the interest that we should look out for any vendor for that matter.
Yeah, I feel like often we get in with whoever the vendor is, and once you've made that investment, you're sort of at the mercy, right? You're not going to scrap the whole thing and start over, and you need the thing to work, so you just keep going deeper in it till you can get it figured out.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
The next kind of important thing to look at is ability to integrate. I think we spoke about it already, so we'll skip over to adaptability, or rather flexibility, right? Like, are they constantly releasing features? Are they flexible to your requests? Can they customize to your workflows? Are they independent or acquired by a company that has a different kind of focus, right? And are they going to kind of leave you out in the lurch? So that is something that you need to look out for. The next thing, you can take over, Rohit.
Yeah. The final thing that we sort of advocate is always, and there's a very quick way to do this, honestly, is whichever software vendor that you are evaluating, go on their LinkedIn and look at the employee spread of that company. How many engineers, how many product managers, and how many implementation guys did they have? Because at most times, all of these softwares that we see, a lot of those softwares that we see have been built and frozen in time, and there's just a sales machine on top of it, getting you into airtight contract and then implementing it for 18 months to follow. So do that, because the investment on the tech team would show how serious about they are for the newest technology, about the newest hardware that you might purchase, the newest meter that comes out, and all of that. Right? You need that flexibility. The second is feature versus future, which is what do you have today and what do you want in the future. Obviously, you cannot predict all of that, but what you can do is a calculated decision based on looking at the feature velocity in the past, how this company has grown, and how they are willing to adapt according to it. I think our friends at iRely, I would again mention that it's a great example if you want to look at that. Again, I would mention FleetPanda, but I would not because that would be just plain advertisement. So that's why I'm just saying there's another company who's doing great job. Uh, and then obviously a partner who will evolve with you, and you'll, because you're, as Jet said, right, you're investing huge dollars into this, and you wouldn't want to switch vendors every 2 years, 3 years. So just, and obviously 5 years is a more reasonable timeline to see whether you can depend upon these people for that at least that number of years or not. And then a support team that is really accessible, like you can text, call people, and not go through email chains and name drop the president at every small support ticket to just get the basic things done. And obviously, the look and feel of the software matters. The right and left, the left is FleetPanda, the right is another software that we wouldn't want to name, but I think all of you would recognize it from your last year Halloween party. So this is a smooth user experience, implementation to be timely and smooth, and a software so easy to use that it turns your B players into A players. There's a quick QR if you guys want to scan. We talked to a lot of customers to understand how they evaluate the dispatch softwares, and we created a guide and an RFC template for you to use if you are evaluating a software to buy. So it's just a plain non-promotional checklist, nothing about FleetPanda. Just go in there, see what are the things that you need to check before you go in deep into a software, so that you are just aware of what you are signing up for. So there's a quick QR if you guys want to scan. I'll just pause for 5 seconds and then I'll move on to the next one.
Well, Rohit and Harini, I really appreciate all you guys have shared here today. I got a few questions I wanted to ask. You mentioned once you get all that data into that central repository area, now you can start working on it. You said to start small. Don't try to conquer the world all at once. I think that's good wisdom on most everything. Where is the best place to start? Is it demand forecasting? Is it somewhere else? Where would you recommend somebody start once they get to that central system?
So I would suggest that even because building that central system it's in itself a lot of work, right? So even before that, if you have any piece of that, one of the mental models or frameworks that you can really implement here is any of the functional areas where you have a lot of historical data that sort of shows pattern, and intuitively you know that the patterns repeat themselves, is something where AI can really add a lot of value. Even if you don't layer multiple sources of data, bring external data such as weather and so on. For example, in the route optimization example, right? Even if you don't really have the ability right now to add weather level, geography level, map level data to it, you can at least have a prediction model built around. And I'm saying use like a generic tool, like a ChatGPT kind of a tool, right, which is available for everyone. Obviously, I would not suggest you putting key customer information into ChatGPT because they train on your data. But for data that where you can remove all of those details about your customers, you can still find patterns using something like that, or Google Gemini for that matter. If you remove and strip down just generic data into that, you can find multiple patterns. So those are the places where you can become comfortable and truly understand before you do this massive investment into bringing all of the data together and getting into AI. So I think uh, the I hope there was a single answer to that would apply to everyone who is with us right now. But instead of that answer, I'll give you this framework. Wherever you have most historical data stored and you intuitively understand that there's a pattern to that, that is where AI would give you massive competitive advantage.
Okay, yeah, have good historical data. Also, you were talking about route optimization, and we're talking about AI, and you showed some things about how using AI can improve the metrics. Can you give me a high level? How does the AI actually working? Like, what is it actually doing? Does that make sense? It's
Yeah.
looping over. Tell me a little bit about that.
So there are two things. One, I can't talk about the AI tools in general that is out there in the market, but I want to just categorically establish that our AI does not learn from your data as such. Like it will not learn from your data and implement in some other customer account, because each of the customer account at FleetPanda is hosted independently, irrespective of how many customers that we have. So what our AI usually would do, or how route optimization specifically will go about is, it will understand all the historical data that you choose to provide. You can remove the customers that you want to share and all, but whatever data that you want to provide, you can provide to the AI. It will understand the patterns in the user behavior in the routes that you use, the number of deliveries that you make on the route. So all of the small data points that changes uh, how efficient a route is for a truck. It will analyze all of that and then only layer on top of it the present factors. Like imagine if I just give you a notepad and a pencil and just ask you what are the multiple factors that can affect or make a particular route efficient. AI automatically feeds on all of that data and create the best optimal route for every driver that you have, every truck that you have, so that you have the most optimized route. That's the like it's basically a human brain on steroids, if you might have to imagine like that. The only constraint that we have put by design is we don't consume your data, so that your trade secrets, your customer data, your data at your end is completely safe with you. We don't train and then implement on other accounts.
That makes sense. Thank you, Rohit. And how long does it take? Like, let's say I'm very far down in Panda's hierarchy of needs, and I ultimately want to be up at the top. Are we talking a year journey, a 5-year journey? Is it 3 months?
Okay. There are that answer is actually in a spectrum of timeline, because honestly, as I said, we have also seen very different timelines with this. We have literally seen our customers get implemented with the entire FleetPanda platform in 60 days, and then we have seen this being dragged on for a few months because there's just one peculiar feature that they cannot live without, right? So we have also seen that spectrum. So it's a bad answer, but it's the only answer to give, that it depends. But if I have to have like a average or a median answer to this, I would say anywhere between 3 to 4 months to get really well implemented with the dispatch software, as well as the parallel integration that goes on. So your back office accounting, all of that gets here. And then from there, that the model learns in, say, a couple of weeks from there. So a safe estimate would be, if everything goes in line, would be 6 months. I think in the longest term, it might be, say, a year approx. But it should not take more than that in any case. If it is, then there's either a very unique requirement that is very much unique to a particular case by case basis, or there is absolutely something very wrong with the vendor that you're working with.
Yeah. And what do I need on my team to be successful at doing this? I need to work with a partner, as you talked about, but I mean, do I need to take a individual like an IT director and devote them, solely to this? Do I need a part-time person? What do I need internally from a human resource perspective to make this successful?
Absolutely. So it would be in my interest to say that it wouldn't take much from your end, but that's not the right answer. It actually is a huge endeavor. So while the entire AI piece is the pinnacle of the digital transformation journey, and the digital transformation journey is almost always led by somebody in-house. That might be a CIO or a director of IT that has control as well as understanding of the internal systems, so that all of that historical context, because the businesses that we come across have been running for multiple decades across geographies, right? So all of that data is gold mine. Like you cannot just compromise on losing of any bit of that, right? So that basically means there should be somebody knowledgeable with authority and with understanding of how this works, so that they can safeguard their interests at the end, also can actually exploit the partnership that you do with the vendor to extract maximum value. So absolutely, a senior person, that designation might vary across companies, but a senior person who understands and ideally in charge of the IT at the customer side. That would be an ideal point of contact for something like this.
That
Thank you,
POC
guys.
would be the, sorry, yeah.
To wrap, but you had your hierarchy of needs, and at the very end was hire AI, and maybe I'm just ignorant, but who is AI that I'm hiring? Is it FleetPanda? Is it Microsoft? Is it Amazon? Give me an example. You talked about all-in-one solutions or best.
That's an amazing question, because we sort of did not want to get into details, and that's why we just put in hire AI. That word is a very intentional choice, honestly, because if you just Google, like whenever this session is ending in the next couple of minutes, I guess, just go back and Google this term called agentic AI. Okay, agentic AI is specifically an AI agent that behaves like a human. So what does a human employee really do in our time and workday? It takes directions, goes on its own, executes on those directions, gets the information that it needs from the systems, and comes out with an outcome. That is what really an agentic AI does, right? And that is why it was written hire AI and not implement AI, because implementing AI will require a lot of, like, even after implementation, it would require a lot of input, output, just fine tuning and everything from your end. It's not the world anymore. After 2023, it has become a new wave, at least in the work day of ours. That particular term has become agentic AI. Everybody from Salesforce to Oracle to everybody, like, just search agentic AI, you will see the biggest of tech giants working on that. In our case specifically, with FleetPanda, we are working in the same direction. We cannot comment on the other vendors, how they are and how advanced they are. But what you're looking at, or how do you want to have this conversation with any of the vendors that you want to evaluate, including FleetPanda, is what is that progress on the agentic AI scheme? Or is your AI module really agentic AI, or is it just a plaster on top of the same old code that you have been selling? So that is the qualifying question.
But I appreciate you taking the time, Rohit and Harini, and I know you guys are available for questions. Should anybody else want to reach out to you, we'll send out your contact information to the audience. Absolutely. AI is a big topic. I love your quote here: AI will not replace humans. Humans using AI will replace humans not using AI. So good thoughts for us to leave here. Appreciate all you shared, and hope everybody has a really good Halloween. If you got any creative Halloween costumes, send me a picture. I'd love to see it. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Absolutely. Forward those pictures, Jet. Would love to see them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out till the end. And thanks, Jet, for being absolutely an incredible host all the time. Thank you so much.
Take care, my friends.
Take care. Bye-bye.